Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Poodle back with another CFB 25 video, and in today's video, I'm gonna be going over what you guys have all been asking for, and that is what is the best and my ideal coaching build in CFB 25 Dynasty mode. Alright guys, as always, before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We did hit 30k, I greatly appreciate that. I feel like I've said that already, but let's keep growing. 40k is the next goal. I really appreciate all the support. Can we get a big thumbs up in this video? Every thumbs up goes a long way to helping the channel out. If you could so kindly right now, it takes a second and it's free. We can get 1,000 likes in this video. That would be absolutely insane. And of course, comment down below if you have any other variations. Remember, coaching builds are very weird in the sense that it comes down to kind of how you're playing, but I think I've narrowed it down scientifically to what you need. Now, of course, if you haven't already, check out Underdog, guys. They've been killing it. Every month's a new promo, and just so you guys know, December's coming up. I know they're going to go crazy. You want to be on that app now. You don't want to get in late. December is going to be just the month of picks and the month of Underdog. I'm super excited for it. If you use my code down below in the description or in the comment section, you will get up to 1,000 on your first deposit, as well as a 0.5 free pick, which is basically free money. Now, guys, let's get into the video. All right, so when starting a coach, guys, in my opinion, so earlier in the year when we first started and a lot of people didn't know anything, my recommendation basically was to take the coach they assigned you for an obvious reason. These coaches gave you a distinct head start early on against other people, which obviously makes sense, but in the long run, creating a custom coach is just far better. Now, the issue with starting a custom coach back then, day one, would have been that you would have done it wrong. Nobody knew what was working. Nobody knew what was right. So basically, you probably would have destroyed that coach, and it would have taken you a while to grow it. Now that we're into the game a bit more and we know what we're doing, you want to make sure you're building your coach properly. So I'm going to break this down. I have the math right in front of me. I have everything good to go. I personally start with Recruiter. Now, remember, we're not taking into account cheese. This is meant for everyone, online, offline. This isn't including the Georgia bundle discount package. This isn't going to Ole Miss and being a coordinator. These are none of the cheese. This is the best coach that you can do online against real users. This is what I do. If you guys have seen my other video, the super team video, I show you how I'm recruiting 12 to 15 5-stars a year. I'm showing how I'm out recruiting everyone. I basically can pick whoever I want. That is the setup that I'm going to show you here, but even better, because in that league I started with a current coach, so I had some limitations to what I could buy. In this one, I'm starting custom. I'm going to show you exactly where to start. Now, you're going to ask the question, should I restart my coach? If you're in a league in Dynasty like year 7, I'd probably just rock it out. Do I start over my league? If you restart your league, I think you start custom, and this is why. But if you're already in one, I wouldn't fret over it too much. It's obviously important, but it is what it is. It's hard to restart in year 7, or if you're in an online league, will they even let you do that? But here we go. So start with Recruiter. I have this broken down scientifically for you guys by the math. So starting here in Recruiter, when you're in this first tab, you're going to want to initially focus on this. Now, there is a framework for this. I start with Recruiter because it takes you a few years to get in elite level talent and build that framework. Then you focus on building them after, right? You don't want to build players first but have no talent. You want to get the talent in and then build them. So I recommend purchasing all of these besides Specialist. This is the one I don't care for. This does not matter. They're mostly all 3 stars. You rarely have to ever compete for one of these. So I recommend buying all packages here except for this one. And the tier you want to go up to is tier 3. You want advanced look QB, well, in general, advanced look, most influential, and always be recruiting. Now, if you do start with Recruiter, you don't have to spend any points to unlock it. So that is very important. So when doing this, when you go through, you're going to notice that there are only 5 points each. So that is going to be 15 each times 7. So the total to do this is going to be 105 coaching points. Remember, you do get about 490 points total when creating a coach. That's only 105 total it's going to cost you. Now, you might be asking, why not start with tier 4? Personally, tier 4 I think is good, but we're going to need the extra points here for other reasons. But tier 4 is just increased starting interest. It doesn't make you recruiting better. It just starts you better. And if you've seen anything with the recruiting trail, you've seen times where you start off in first, you're first for the guy, and after the first advance, someone jumps you. You've seen times where you're not even on the board and you jump to first. You've seen times, like, the starting interest to me does not matter that much. I think there is one benefit to starting interest, but again, it's random. I think good starting interest is beneficial for 2 things, really. One is insta commits, because you'll be first on more boards, but that's so random, and if you don't have CEO, it's not as constant, it's not as consistent. I just don't see a world where spending an extra 35 points across the whole board for all of them is really worthwhile. Maybe like if you just want a one-off, but again, there's math to this, so don't just go spending. And of course, it's also good to scare people. If you start off on first on a recruit and you have all the other packages, you'll probably get a massive boost off week 1 and off rip just scare a bunch of people off of them and force them to not even recruit you, which means recruit against you, which means you can just go spend it elsewhere. But again, these are all circumstantials. These aren't scientific. These are ifs, buts, and it to me, that's not something I'm going to personally bank on. So that's 105 right there. Next, you want Elite Recruiter. So I'm going to start here, but keep in mind Elite Recruiter requires 2 seasons of top 5 recruiting. So I recommend doing from this point on in year 1 and 2 of your dynasty, or from where you're starting right now, absolutely recruit 35 players. Now, you might say I only was able to get 28 in season. Well, then get another 7 in the transfer portal. I know 35 is kind of ridiculous, but in the first 2 seasons, you can do it because you can cut a bunch of garbage on your team. There's always a bunch of cuttable garbage on these teams, especially in the first 2 to 3 years. So make sure you do 35. Now, don't do 35 of just 3 stars. Try to get your 5 and 4 stars and then fill out with 3s and 2 stars if you need to, but 3s are probably where you could do it. Basically, this allows you to become top 5 every time. If you recruit 35 players, you're basically going to be a top 5 recruiting team no matter what. And if you actually get some good players in there, for sure. So that's going to give you your 2 recruiting classes to unlock Elite Recruiter. Now, I'm going to continue here. Now, in those 2 seasons, if you manage to complete all of this, feel free to move over to this next portion, which is the Motivator portion, and start already doing that. But if you are still working on this, work on this. Now, remember, Elite Recruiter is expensive. So also, if you do finish this within 2 seasons, maybe don't go to Motivator. Maybe stack up 40 points so you can start right here. So that's really up to you and what you prefer to do. It really depends on how quickly you're growing your points. So once you unlock Elite Recruiter, you do have to purchase it. So purchasing it does cost 15. So keep that in mind, right? So with that being said, once you're in here, you're going to want to buy tier 1 and tier 2 for everybody but the specialist. Keep in mind, we're never investing in kicker and punter. So just keep that in mind. So that's going to be 16 per times 7. So this is going to cost you a grand total of 112 points to actually go through and purchase all of Elite Recruiter. So that's going to cost 112 here. That includes the 15 to unlock plus the tier 1 and 2. Now you might be asking, why not tier 3? Pipeline bonus to me, I don't think it's that important. It's very expensive. Pipeline to me is more about starting interest and really these players being on your board to begin with. I don't really care for it beyond that. I've been able to override all pipelines just with the other boosts I'm going to tell you about. And tier 4 is actually really good. Booster ideal pitch grades. That basically means when you do a hard sell or you do any kind of visit or any kind of pitch grade with like an A plus through a B, it's going to be extra dominant, which is actually really good, but that requires you to spend 16 points just to get past tier 3. And then if you do for each player, this would basically double it, and you can't afford that. So it's not worth it in my eyes, because I want the more consistent stuff like the 10 hours spent and the my school grades have larger impacts, and not just focusing on the pitch grades, right? Because you may not always get there. So let's start there. At that point, we spent 127 total with the 112 plus the 15, and then we all spent the 105 on the first. So we're halfway through about our points. From this point, you want to come to Motivator. When you're in Motivator, what you're going to want to spend here is going to be the 10 to unlock it, right? Keep that in mind. And then once you're in here, you're going to want to purchase 3 tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 for all of them, again, but specialists. So tier 1 is one of the most important ones. This gives you bonus XP when players above them on the depth chart, like if you have a quarterback that's 92 overall and he gets drafted in the first round, and you have a quarterback behind him, he will get a lot of XP because he was behind like a mentor, let's say. This one's very important. I think this is one of the biggest boosts and one of the biggest things to do. So make sure you are getting this done. Tier 2 is honestly a waste, but you don't have a choice because tier 3 is the most important one probably in the game. And that's going to be quarterback did an offseason training boost. So that's going to cost you 15 per times 7. Same math's going to be the 105 total, except you got to pay the extra 10 to unlock. So it's 115 more. Now, in terms of Elite Recruiter, Elite Motivator, tier 3, everybody eats is very, very important, but that's going to require you to spend 24 points each to get there. You can't afford that. It's not worth it, and those first 2 to me aren't worth it in general, so you want to skip that. Once you get past that, you do want to come down to Tactician. Now, early in the year, I was so off Tactician, I thought it was a waste, but I've learned a few things since in this game. So in Madden, ratings boost didn't matter. You could boost your ratings up, but you weren't getting thresholds. You could boost your ratings up, but you still couldn't get abilities, and abilities are so king in Madden, and so are thresholds. So for me, this was never worth it, but I've learned a few things about this game. In Madden, it doesn't matter because you grow those players over 5, 10, 15 year long contracts, right? At a time. You have the players their whole career. They're going to be 99, so why pay for ratings boost? In CFB, you don't. Your quarterback may cap at an 88. Your quarterback may get drafted in his junior year as an 89. Your quarterback may be stuck at an 85. These boosts will get all your players into the 90s very quickly, and the ratings are king, so your players will always play above. So all your 5 stars will feel like 6 stars. All your 90 overall quarterbacks will feel like 95 overall quarterbacks. This is huge, and I've noticed it being a big difference, and it applies to all players if you buy them all. And honestly, this is the most consistent. I've seen that recruiting is so consistent if you have those packages. Motivator upgrades are much more consistent if you have those packages, and Tactician is very consistent when you have all these things. And it's very important because you might have players, like I said, it's hard to grow players. It's hard to get players into the 90s. So being able to go ahead and upgrade them with stats is super important. So when upgrading these, you want to buy all 4. All 4 are going to get you all the boosts you need basically for every position group. and you want to go across. The only one you don't want to do it on is going to be this cross-train one. I personally don't think it matters. I don't need my O-line getting good as D-line. Now, I know that's good if you're going to switch players over, but that also is kind of wasteful then, in my opinion, because that it requires you to switch them over. I don't think that's that important to me, although it could be useful if you're going to have a guy running two positions. I don't think it's consistent enough or will be used enough to validate 20 extra points. So when doing this, remember, when you buy it, it's 10 points to unlock, and then it's going to be 140 points total with all the packages. So it's going to be 150 altogether. So that's another 150 points, which leaves us pretty close to the end here in terms of our math. So remember, what we're doing here is going to be about 230-ish here. I have the final numbers on my spreadsheet right now. We're going to spend about 150 here, and we're going to spend about 130 or 115 here, right? So that leaves you, let's just say 230, 330, 340-ish, and then we're going to have a total of about 497, I believe, is the final number. This build is 497. Now, you may be asking, what about Program Builder? What about CEO? These are very expensive, and here's my problem with them. Especially when you're a custom coach, you have to buy them 20 and 30. That's 50 points. That is a huge amount of points to just open them. And I see them all as circumstantial. There's a few good things here, but remember, for you to unlock this, right? For you to unlock 20 points, and then let's say you wanted to get to, what's a good one here? Like, let's just say Relationship Builder. You want to get to tier 2. That'd be 24 plus the 20 to get in there. That's 44 points. That basically means you have to cut back on a good amount of half of your Tactician, half of your Motivator, or half of your recruiting. That is a huge drop for one thing that does one thing, like upgrading pipelines. While it's good, I don't think it's worth it. Same thing with hometown discount. People like tier 3 or people like tier 2, but to get to tier 3, it's 36 plus 20. That's 56 points. That's too monumental. And then CEO, same thing. 30 to open it, which would require you to cut down on basically 1/3 of one of your packages you went for. And then if you want to buy any of these, they're another 18. It's too much in my opinion. Now, there are builds, like I said. Keep in mind, you can take my build. You can take like 80% of my build and change it up. So if I was going to take from anywhere, it'd probably be Tactician. I would not touch the recruiting and the motivating. That is the key. Think about it this way, like a three-pronged approach. Recruiting brings in the best. These recruiting packages brings in the best talent across the country. These motivating packages make sure they become elite players. These Tactician packages kind of play cleanup. If they don't progress the way you like them to, they'll be in the 90s because of Tactician. If they do progress the way you like them to, they'll be 95 to 99s because they progressed and they have Tactician. You'll have an elite team with these three, the way I set it up. Now, these are good, but you're going to have to take from it. If I'm going to take, it's going to be from Tactician because that's also like a circumstantial type boost. It's about ratings increasing. These are actually permanent. So I would recommend pulling from there, but again, I probably wouldn't. CEO and Program Builder have fun packages. I don't think they're essential packages. Now, when coming to the coordinators, I'm going to make a whole other video going over how to do this, but personally, when I'm doing a coordinator, you want to stack. People think you want to complement. Like, okay, if I have a recruiting and a motivator coach, I should go for one with architect on a coordinator, or Tactician, or I should move it around to something that I don't have. Not exactly. I've learned in this game, being the jack of all trades, like it is being great at nothing. And in this game, if you want to, there's hundreds of teams recruiting. If you are not a top 5 package recruiter, you're going to consistently lose to the ones that are. If you're not a top 5 motivator, you're going to consistently be outbilled by the ones that are and not be winning, right? By setting up this, you want to then get coordinators, hire coordinators that have their tree skewed in recruiter, motivator. I wouldn't really do Tactician in this aspect. I'd probably focus on motivator and recruiting. I think Tactician's enough on your first coach. If they have it, it's fine, but you want to be skewing in that direction. So when I can, I'd probably fire this one and get one that's recruiting and motivator and keep building them up, because that's how you get to 80 recruiting hours. That's how you get insane boost. That's how you get insane bonuses when recruiting. That is the method for me. That is my coach build. That is 497. If you guys want some variations of it, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Follow me down below if you want if you have any other advice or things you want to be hit up directly about. And of course, comment it if you have any other variations to this. But 497 is where I'm just about sitting. This can swing a little bit depending on the way you want to go. If you have another variation, go for it. Feel free to have fun. If you're in an offline league, remember, you don't need to have the perfect build. You can take mine and then add a fun package like Dream School and just take off a few of my Tacticians. But if you're in an online league, this is what I found to be the best. In my next online league, when I do restart, I fully plan on taking a custom coach and building this coach. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Comment down below. Can we get 1,000 likes on this video? You guys have been begging for this video, so I really hope you show it some support and love. And if you haven't checked out Underdog, use my code down below. Christmas is coming up and Black Friday. You do not want to miss this next month. I know they're going to go crazy. Free money galore. Sign up using my code, 1,000 on your deposit, plus a 0.5 free pick. Thank you so much for watching. I'm out. Peace.